The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride here this evening. It's a little toasty in here, huh?
Yeah, it's toasty is a good word.
I'm leaving these on just to have some airflow. I don't know what they're doing. It is downright warm. Excited to have you along for the ride here tonight on episode number 361. Back again for this episode. Missed you last week. There was some pretty serious conversations about whether we were going to miss 2 Mondays in a row, and I can't remember the last time, if ever, we've missed 2 shows in consecutive weeks. So I wanted to make sure that we got back here, but I'm telling you right now, before we get going, it is going to be the abridged version.
Quickie.
A bit. We got Chad Winne is going to be hanging out with us for a little while. We got Justin Stevens going to be joining us here for a few minutes as well to talk about his run out there at the Bakken Beatdown coming up this weekend. The King of Ohio, Dustin Woods, and Triple D Promotions, presented by Jegs. That action is going to be taking flight over Independence Weekend, July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Our condolences out to Ron McClung. His mom passed away, so he lost his mom. Just saw that news coming our way, so thinking about him. If you hear some noise in the background again, it's not your speakers. I don't know how bad it is. There was a little bit of a buzz. We've had some people tell us that it was super loud, and some other folks saying that it wasn't.
In theory, the air conditioners, but we aren't really sure what they're conditioning.
No, right now you could probably fry an egg on the desktop right here.
It's slightly warm.
Justin Steven waiting in the wings there. Justin, man, how are you?
Good.
We appreciate you coming and hanging out with us here for a little while. My congratulations on the win, making the tow up to the Bakken Beatdown. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'd go up there for the first time, and wasn't expecting too much, but managed to have a good weekend and get the win. So
when you say that you weren't expecting too much, tell me a little bit more about what that means. To make that, it's a fairly significant tow. Tell me a little bit more about not expecting too much. Just going up there to try and finish the car off, or what?
No, just to go up there and try and get the feel of the show. And really, I was just hoping to make the feature and at least do reasonably good. A top 10, top 5. So
walk me through what the weekend entailed. I know we're about a week removed from when this all happened. Everybody had the opportunity to watch that live as it happened on derbytees.tv. What transpired to get you from just hoping to make the feature and finish top 5 to picking up the win?
We came out of the heat with a real good car, and that kind of helped confidence of actually thinking I could win it. And we got down to about 4 cars, and I was kind of looking around and felt like I had the best car towards the end, and just kept fighting to try and win it.
At what point did you think, man, this is kind of looking good for me?
There at the end, we kind of, all 4 of us got hung up down there in that corner, and I think we all were just sitting there waiting for someone to make the first move, and we got out of that, and it kind of looked like it was just going to be down to me and Chris Williams. And the final hit, when me and Chris got stuck, I wasn't even sure if I made the last hit technically or not. I couldn't see out the back, so we were both stuck, and I just kind of had to hope I made the last hit.
That's an interesting feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be a little nerve-wracking. Got to be a little nerve-wracking.
To hope that you made the last hit. Were the flaggers imploring you, as so often we see, to back up and make another hit, or was it clear enough to them to that they were going to have to go back through and mentally replay it to make a determination?
Yeah, I could see one of them. He kept telling me to go forward, and I'd go forward, come back, and I wasn't trying to. I was hoping not to dig a hole to where if Chris did get out of it, I was stuck there. So I was trying to be easy, and then kind of realized I was actually stuck in there real good, and about that time they called it.
After they got you two apart, were you able to drive it all the way back to the trailer?
Yeah. Yep.
What kind of car did you run?
9802 Crown Vic.
Nice.
Is there anything else anymore?
Well, unfortunately. Nice. That's cool.
That's sets you up in a good position for the rest of this year. You going to be doing any more of the heavy travel schedule, or are you going to try to keep it closer to home?
Looking at going back up to Sydney for the Roughneck Rumble in September, and then just Blizzard Bash there in November.
Right. Is the whole band getting back together?
Yep, we got all four of us are coming back together.
That is there going to be any opportunities this year to? Is there going to be any opportunities this year leading up to that where you're going to get a chance to run together, knock the rust off, and get the team legs back?
Probably not. I think we're probably just going to go up there and give it a shot.
Yeah, once you drive through that tunnel, it'll all come back quick. So I wouldn't even worry about it. 9,000 people yelling and screaming, and inside that arena. I'm sure it'll come back pretty quick.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we've ran together several times. So
it's like riding a bike at this point, right?
Or falling off.
Yeah.
Falling off
repeatedly.
You guys are still. I'm trying to remember now. You guys are still on the national side, right?
Limited weld.
Limited weld team. Okay, that's right.
Yep.
Couldn't bring that back if I had to.
Well,
The limited weld bracket is always outstanding anyway.
Yeah. There's nothing out there in November that isn't top flight. That show is number one from front to back. There's no easy roads.
For sure. That Bakken show again that did air. You can go back and relive all of it. It was aired on derbytees.tv. We're going to be talking with Chad Winne here in a little bit to talk a little bit more about his run to the win over at the Brewerton Speedway and the full-size side of things with the King Smash and Crashing, but he was also in action over there at Mini Meltdown back on Father's Day weekend. So we'll get a couple thoughts from him about that event. We saw the pictures and the carnage and all the wreckage of everything on that front. So that was a lot of fun for everybody to get back up to full speed here locally, and fans had a chance to go there and essentially without any restrictions. So that was good to see. So we'll dive into that with Chad here in a few minutes. Justin was very patient with us and let us get everything reoriented. We had some trouble getting everything up and going on Facebook. As things continue to change, and we had to get everything repaired the right way. There's no longer just using the turnkey buttons that we'd used before, and so we had to get things back up on his feet. How far of a tow was it for you up there to Bakken?
17 hours one way.
Oh my God. Holy. Woo. I bet you those 17 hours felt a little bit shorter, though, going home with a big check.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad coming back.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's a long ways to go.
You guys doing anything different for your powertrain combination this year?
No, I've been switched back to running Muncie 3-speeds was all.
Nice.
But
Is that because those are the only transmissions that you can find that still have a bellow housing left on them?
No, I started running them when I started derbying, and then like for Bash with all the training protectors, I went to the 400s and just haven't liked it for some reason. Just doesn't fit me.
The 400s don't fit because of the tail shaft combinations, the bell housing combination, something to do with the internals. It's interesting. You usually hear the standbys are the 350s and the 400s.
Yeah, it's really nothing been as far as the transmission itself, just kind of more preference. I really don't run a real high horsepower engine, so running a small engine, I think, in my opinion, that 3-speed with the clutch just gets a little more power and low end.
So on top of having to watch for your partners at some place like Blizzard Bash, and on top of having to watch for the other 4 maniacs that are trying to turn you inside out at a high rate of speed, on top of trying to monitor and make sure everything is going the right way, figure why not add 1 more thing to do with your foot and 3 more things to do with your right hand, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just thinking that when he was talking about using those Muncies is, man, the respect that I have for guys that can run derbies with a manual. Like I couldn't imagine it. I mean, but I mean, if you've done it for a long time, it would be it'd be like a guy running an automatic, basically. I mean, it's just part of the deal. But it's still, I mean, to get to that, to be able to master it like that, it's pretty impressive. And I mean, it's always good and we've seen it numerous times in Topeka, is when guys are grabbing, you can see them reaching down and grabbing gears as they're coming across the arena. That's pretty cool to see. So, that's one of those neat things we've seen as we've traveled across the country.
Toast is throwing up the rock on sign in the chat. Frankie Guy checking in, Matt Evans. We got a lot of viewers checking in, but I think there's a little bit of confusion because the stream had started and stopped and started and stopped so many times. So if there is anybody trying to find the live stream, it's under the event. You can't make a live stream without making an event now, which is handy. So if anybody wants to share it,
somebody at Facebook just got a raise for doing that.
Yeah, something like that.
They just made their job, they need that guy now. So
I love it when things are improved on when they weren't broken to begin with.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
It's terrific. Do you launch in second gear when you have those? Like, do you gear it to omit first gear or anything like that on those 3 speeds?
I just use first and reverse.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yep. Everything else is blocked off.
Wow.
Huh.
Man, that motor must get some R's in first gear, don't it?
Not too bad.
What do you run for gears in the rear end?
500s.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Wow.
You
might be the first one I've heard that only runs first and reverse in a standard. That's neat.
Was it Chad from DMP that we were talking to that one time, who used to joke about running those 3 speeds and putting it together backwards so you had 3 reverse gears and 1 forward?
I don't remember.
I can't remember who that.
You're the one with the good memory, and it's foggy right now. So.
Right. It is. My memory is compromised.
Yes, it is.
Well, that is interesting. Blocking all the rest of that stuff off and just running the first and reverse. I gotta believe when you do that, you're almost planning. You're taking some of the stress off the engine and drive and letting the transmission do the work. But if you start running that in reverse, it sounds like you're making the engine do a little bit more of the work going backwards, right? When you think about the way that the gearing is working.
I think first and reverse is pretty close as far as the transmission gearing is pretty close as far as first and reverse.
Yeah. Because low's pretty well, and it depends. I mean, I've never drove anything with a Muncie, but I'm usually a first gear is kind of low, so it would make sense. But
I say take all the guts out and run direct drive.
It's like a sprint car.
Yep.
You literally have to drive through them because you have to pitch it to go back the other way so you didn't get hung up.
Have you been to Topeka before?
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens a lot.
That's a thing. It'd be great if I can't imagine. We got a all points bulletin out to get the 4-wheelers out so we can push start the derby cars.
That would be awesome. Especially 9,000-pound derby cars. Right. With the 4-wheelers, you just sit there, all 4 tires to spin on the 4-wheelers. Yeah, that'd be terrific. But
that's sweet. Well, Justin, you talked about going back up there in the fall. What else are you going to be doing in between now and then?
Just really probably working on cars.
Yeah, maybe maybe start a little earlier, and guys, you won't have to be burning the proverbial midnight oil like everybody seems to do when it gets to Topeka time.
Yeah, luckily the Topeka car is pretty much done.
What?
Just needs the setup put in it. But looking at maybe building a fresh car for Roughneck Rumble.
Cool.
Is the Topeka car done because it was left over from last year?
Yeah, I was working on it, and just in the free time just kept working on it, and just it ended up getting done. Didn't have nothing else planned to go run, so.
Is your schedule typically pretty relaxed in terms of the Derby stuff? Looking at what we talked about, it sounds like there's only like 3 Derbies on the schedule between running up to Bakken, running back up for Roughneck, and then Blizzard Bash at the end of the year. Is it usually spread out like that?
Here past several years it has been for me. There about 4 years ago I was running 12 Derbies a year.
Sure.
So kind of slowed it down more, just been hitting the bigger shows. And last year I ran 5 bone stock shows, just local shows. But really just started spreading them out and not having to burn the midnight oil.
What build do you prefer? Do you like the more stock stuff, or do you like the heavier builds?
I prefer the limited welds to where you got to think and you got to drive still and drive smart, but can still use the car quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yep.
When you're spreading them out that often, it would seem to me like you probably have a bit of a selection to choose from in terms of pre-run stuff sitting around the house.
Yeah, I have a few sitting around. Really, they've been sitting there 3-4 years still, but
getting weathered. They're just getting weathered, getting tougher up, getting toughened up, man. They'll be ready to go.
Waiting for the perfect time.
Right. Awesome. Brian doesn't have that problem.
No, one. It's sitting in the garage all covered up.
I get a kick out of like some of the folks when they do the panorama as they're loading the fresh car into the garage, getting ready to build XX build, whatever it is, and in the background it's like pre-run. And it does kind of fall in line with that when you look at what the Derby promoters are doing and what Derby promoters allow, and the fix-it plates and all the different rule sets that are around, especially where Justin is. He's in Kansas, talking about driving 17 hours up to Montana. You may end up with a handful of pre-run cars that you can't plate, you can't fix, you don't have a drivetrain to put into. It's just a multitude of deficit, riches of deficit, where you have nothing to do, but you've got all these things that you want to do with them.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, like you said, out there, there's usually you can, if something's bent, as a light build, then you can usually find something in Kansas or Iowa or close by where you can pull it down and put 6, 8, 10, 15 plates on it and run it for the rest of the summer. So there seems to be always a place where you can add more for the next run. So you can make stuff last.
You guys doing anything creative for Blizzard Bash? Any fun?
Nothing. No. I mean, I got another 9802 Vic. Just building it the way I know. So.
Yeah, obviously that works. I'd stick with it.
Yeah.
Brian knows me $5. We made a bet that I said you were going to do a Crown Vic, and he was convinced that you were going to change gears and do a Cordoba.
Not true. Not true.
Justin Madden, do we get an honorable mention? I'm not sure what Justin's talking about there. Justin's got the honorable mention. Oh, I know what Justin's talking about. We'll circle back to that stuff as long as heat stroke doesn't set in first. Is there anybody else that Justin you want to make mention of or recognize that helps make sure that you guys can get to the track when you're making those 17-hour tows?
My dad. I mean, he's a big help in the shop whenever I need something held in place or whatever. The rest of the guys, the Blizzard Bash team, them guys, they were up there this weekend, so that was a big help. So.
Yeah, big shows like that, it's nice to have a good crew.
Yeah, especially when the stakes are that high.
Definitely. Definitely.
Well, Justin, man, it's a week delayed nonetheless, but congratulations on the win, and I'm certainly happy to see that news come across the news feeds, and I look forward to catching up with you here as we get closer to Blizzard Bash.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, take care.
Too easy. Yeah, Alex Vasco just got all the videos up from Mini Meltdown. Holy cow, were they junking stuff down there.
They were.
They
more than content to wreck things.
Oh my goodness! And that's I worked. I ended up being ordered for a double on Saturday, and then I had to work Sunday. And at work Saturday night, it poured. It rained for like an hour straight. Like, I mean, just like there was no tomorrow. And I wondered how Jeremy would fare with the track. And then I actually talked with him afterwards. And guy put a post up on Facebook, and it didn't go so good for him. But
hey, Chad, let me put you.
you know, like I said, I watched Alex's tapes, and man, that track held up good. It was fast, hard hitting. You know, everything we've come to expect from Morris.
We'll dive into that in just a second here. Let's run through this stuff because we're a week delayed on some of the content. I understand that the Bash for Cash has been loaded up to YouTube. You can also find it on demand. I got that note from
Tim Jr.
Tim Jr. Yep. Smash Demolition Derbies. They've got a couple derbies. They were busy this weekend, and now they're going to be taking a quick break until they can regroup for July the 12th. Montgomery County Fair in Dayton, Ohio is the 12th and the 16th. The 17th is Madison County Fair. The 22nd and 24th is the Fayette County Fair in Washington Courthouse. Franklin County Fair on the 24th as well. July 25th is Clark County and Springfield. Then they go to the Claremont Fair on the 27th. The 31st ends the month of July at the Shelby County Fair in Sydney, Ohio. And there's Christy Germain checking in. August the 2nd, Greene County Fair in Xenia, Ohio. August 5th is part of the I-75 Point Series. That's at the Eau County Fair in Wapakoneta. And then August 6th and 7th is the Pike County Fair in Piketon, Ohio. For additional details, scheduling information, start times, etc., jump online, smashitderby.com. You'd also find additional information there regarding Blizzard Bash coming up at the end of the year. The 527 Unified Point Series was in action. And boy, have things changed drastically at the top of the heap there. The Unified Point Series Toast had the Bartholomew County Fair coming up on the 3rd. So he's going to be next in line. He's going to be in action this weekend at the Bartholomew County Fair in Columbus, Indiana. The 10th and the 17th is the Buchanan Edwards event. And then it's Riverside Riots in Proctorville. The 26th and the 30th is Ruts Fab's Butler County Fair in Hamilton. And then the 31st and the 7th at Smash It's Preble County Fair in Eaton, Ohio. That's July 31st and August 7th. The point standings now, as it stands, Steven Sickles coming away with a few more wins since last we spoke. 84 points to his credit at this point. Second place, Don Santel with 40. That is a gigantic lead right there.
Yes.
Can turn around in a matter of minutes, but nonetheless, 84 points for Steven Sickles, 40 for Don Santel. Jordan Rutherford creeping up there into the third spot, 36 points for Jordan, and a four-way tie for fourth. David King, Ricky Duggins, Dan Roos, TJ McCulloch, all fourth place with 20 points. Again, Toast has the next show, and 527UnifiedPointSeries.com has all of the additional info. In action over the weekend, Jeffy's Fab Farm had a chance last weekend to jump in a car with Devin Germain. They ran the two-man car and laid waste as only those two know how to do. Jeffy's Fab Farm is recognized as an industry leader in all manner of purpose-built demolition derby parts, starting with rear ends in 06. Jeffy's Fab Farm expanded to headers in 08, and the shop can boast a combined 70-plus years of mechanical skill. Jeffy's Fab Farm specializes in LS conversions and conversion components with consistent feature wins across North America. Your turnkey solution is only a phone call away. Jeffy's Fab Farm Camry to Box campaign sets you up for success with a retail price of $525, and you need to ask about the multi-fit shifter options. You'll also find fuel and air parts, suspension and transmission items, steering components, pedals, switches, and gauges if you need it. You can find it on the farm, jeffhughesfabfarm.com. The Hardcore Tour is gearing up to get back into action once again. They had Mayhem on the Mountain. That was part of the series on the 26th. Over the course of the weekend, Come to think of it, I haven't seen an update for the winners list on that, and I forgot that they were running this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either. That's weird.
July the 10th. I'm sure that we'll get it. We're trying to shoehorn 2 weeks into one, so there's going to be some staggered anyway. We'll get everything straightened back out here once we get back to the regular schedule in 2 weeks, because next week is going to be 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to be on Monday then either, but we'll get there. Destruction on the Knob is July the 10th, Mark Leesburg, Pennsylvania. July the 24th, King of the Hill at the Jacktown Fair. July 29th and August 3rd and 6th, a 3-day show, Destruction in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. All this leads towards the 2021 Hardcore Championship. That is scheduled for September 25th and 26th. 10,000 win final confrontation is going to be held in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. $3,000 Jeffy's Fab Farm Mad Dog Award. Stay up to date with all the happenings on hardcorederbypromotions.com. We just went through that one. Rounding it out, Smith Metalworks, an all-purpose fabrication shop that has taken the Northeast by storm. Smith Metalworks features more than 40 years of combined metalworking experience. The hallmark of the product line is the pointed and flat front bumpers, replicating popular factory releases. Oh, man. This is becoming troublesome. The hallmark of the product line is the pointed and flat front bumpers. They can be stuffed or run hollow. You don't want to forget the super stock version. That super stock bumper. You have one of those, right? You got a Smith Metalwork bumper.
Yes, I do.
And then there's a compact version of the pointed bumper. Other items include Crown Vic door skins, battery boxes, engine mounting system, pedals, combos, and shifters. The shop offers all the odds and ends, such as distributor clamps and weld-in centers. Be sure to ask about the GM floor liners, in-person locations in Mercer, Uniontown, and Bethlehem. SmithMetalworks.info. Experience and passion, second to none. They all those groups that you just heard about, Smash It, Jeffy's Fab Farm, Hardcore, and Smith Metalworks, all helping make the Crash Course Nationals 2 that was held a couple weeks ago over Father's Day weekend, 3-day show, helped make that one possible. Outstanding show front to back. There was 2 shockers in the field. One of them made it to the feature, and that one won it.
Really?
Chad Homan, my gosh, that's a late model driver. Kyle Homan ended up getting the win there. It was he got the flag waved at him a couple times, but he got the win. Outstanding show. Total final prize money paid out $7,580.
Insanity. That's great.
Yep, it was a lot of
Congratulations, all involved, man. That's pretty damn impressive.
Chad Winne hanging out in the wings with us as well. Brewerton Speedway champion, won the V8 class. Chad got the win and the Mad Dog. Logan Robinson was second place. Brian Pierce was third. 4 and 6 cylinder chain to go. Alex Schell got the win. Second place, Freddie White. Third place was Mark Russell. Zach Herman got the Mad Dog. Big thanks to Big D's Auto for making that one happen for King Smash 'em Crash 'em. So Zach Herman. Hard to believe you got a Mad Dog.
Yeah.
Sort of a
Seneca County.
I saw James Brown had a compact pulled in, getting ready for the 6 cylinders over there at Seneca County. They've put the RC Derby on the schedule for Thursday at 7 o'clock. There's already people complaining about it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I guess get a bottle. I don't know. There's a lot of people just don't like anything that happens when it's put on social media. And then it's looking like we're going to be making the trip back down to the Broome County Fair at the end of July, which is exciting. Haven't been down there in a little while, so going to be excited to get back down to Whitney Point. Chad, he's was talking about how it's been a little while since we've had the chance to catch up. Chad is one of the last times we talked to Chad, I think, was after he won at Wheel Days several years ago.
That's been a little while.
We did an interview and then played that, and paths crossing once again with some success on consecutive weekends there. Chad, congratulations. Been a pretty good 8 days or so.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Thanks, Chris.
How was?
It's been like 2 years since I've sat in a big car, so it was kind of nice to get out there and have a little fun.
Was this one that funky tawny fawn canary yellow that all of your cars tend to be?
Well, I kind of tend to leave the factory paint on if I can, if they're nice, clean cars. Gives me one less thing to do in the shop before I got to make the Derby. I'm notoriously last minute, so paint is not a real big top priority on my list.
And I don't know if anybody's familiar with the pictures and the videos and everything. Every car, as Chad said, is always left factory colors. And every car, for a long streak, whether it was the Chryslers or whether it was the Cadillacs, were that yellow color, and I don't remember what the name of it, except for I think at one point you had a blue Cadillac at one point, but you had a ton of those yellow cars. I just thought maybe you hunted those down because the yellow paint was harder.
No, I think Chrysler was just real popular with that color for the period of time in the models that I like to run. So, pretty common. Had a few green ones, quite a few yellow ones, and the blue Caddy, that was one of my favorites.
Is that still around, or has that been turned into Hondas?
Oh, no, that thing's toasters by now, long ago.
Well, let's start with the most recent news first. The win over at Brewerton. Corey Reed is the general manager over there, Brewerton and Fulton Speedways, and they have embraced Demolition Derby as a whole. And John King's been over there several times. Josh Buell got a win at Fulton Speedway a couple years ago. I think Alan Fink, the sportsman modified driver, has got a win. Larry White's been in some Derby cars, but you start looking at $1,500. You're going to draw out the professional Demolition Derby drivers now. You went over there and got the Mad Dog Award and the win. How was it?
Well, it was a lot of fun. I love running for King Smash 'em Crash 'em. They're a great group of people, and they put on a good show. Of course, the most notorious is Wheel Days. Brookfield was always a big one for us, and we've spent a lot of time running for them. So it was an opportunity. I seen John hasn't ran V8 cars in a few years or so now, and I wanted to go up and support a show, and hopefully draw in some bigger guns, so to speak, and get some bigger names up there and put on a good show, and unfortunately we didn't get a huge car count, but we did get a few, and I think the fans were real happy. We put on a good show. Everyone there was running hard, and it was just a good time. It was nice to go out. I like the Hanson bling. I've got a few pieces of that. That's kind of what I'm after these days. The feature trophy's not my main goal these days. It's the Mad Dog.
What'd you take there to run, Chad?
Well, I had a leftover Imperial from 2017 that I ran at Wheel Days. It's been sitting around, and it's hard to find shows in more recent times where you can run these things at. So.
Yep.
That was another compelling, bit here, and made me want to go up there and run. Maybe get rid of the car afterwards, but that just wasn't the case. It looks like it's going for another round. Maybe Honesdale Spinning Wheels is putting on a limited weld show down there in August, and that's part of the regular curriculum down there, I think. And I might just take it down there and see what the PA boys got to offer. I know they got some pretty hard stuff down there.
Yeah. PA is, PA is kind of like Ohio. PA kind of builds the way they want, and then they will cut what they need to make it through inspection sometimes. So
exactly.
Yeah,
it's kind of the limited weld mecca down there, and of course P. Hanson's down there, and just a whole bunch of guys, and they like to weld, and that's what breeds hard cars for sure.
Yeah, Pete's been known to put in a couple hours underneath a welding helmet. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
I like the sounds of all this. Here's the problem, though. A lot of times you go to these speedway shows, if it's like some of the other racetrack shows, the purse ends up getting caught. It doesn't go the way it's supposed to. And Chad shows up with an Imperial, and he wants to waste it, and all he's doing is hitting V8 Bonnevilles. So it's a little different. It's a little different world when you compare Wheel Days to the Speedway Derbies. But with the sounds of things, that wasn't the case with this one. There was some folks looking to run a Derby this weekend over at Brewerton.
Well, I think they were. They were excited. There was a few names that I've never heard before. I understand there's some fresh young people getting into the car for their first time, and I'm sure they were a little worried seeing basically a limited weld car roll in when they're rolling around in a pretty much a stock bubble top Vic, and so I think there was some concern there, but nonetheless they came right out. They came right after me. I thought it was great. Everybody had a good run.
Yeah, I actually won my first feature ever at Brewerton. It was $1,000 to win, and I took a 70 Imperial up there. And I mean, this was like stock. I mean, Waterloo 70 Imperial. It had the round tin front bumper on it, the whole 9 yards.
Nice.
And but it was fun. I mean, there wasn't a lot of cars there, 10, 12, but I mean, everybody was driving hard, and we had pretty much the whole front stretch of Brewerton. There's a lot of room. And all of a sudden I was hung up with a guy, and I got loose. and the guy that ended up finishing second was driving like a 65 or 68 Dodge Dart, and it was a standard. And I was coming up out of the infield, and you kind of come uphill.
Yeah.
And this guy was like sneaking by along the wall, and I caught him right on the pillar, wide open. And like I caved the pillar in, and I was like, that was pretty cool. So I backed up to do it again, and like he couldn't even get it in gear. I bet it so bad.
Oh no!
So yeah, that was pretty cool. But I've ran Brewerton a couple times, and it's usually get 10, 12 cars. I mean, but it's just
really perfect.
Yeah, it is, and it's a good time. I was, like I said, that was $1,000 to win. If you're gonna win, your first show, I mean, that's $1,000. And that was 2000.
Nice payday.
So
1999, I thought.
Yeah, 99. I think
2000 was you, Corona.
Yeah, so it was it was fun. It was a good time.
Resident personal statistician, I'm confident in my numbers.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate it. Well, as few wins as I have, it isn't hard to keep track of. Let's be honest. Now, if we're talking about best of shows, you may have a hard time, but keeping track of my wins is not a hard thing to do.
Counting those 2 wins brings us halfway to your total wins.
True. True. It does. 40 best of
I'll tell you,
shows.
that wall up there at Brewerton does not move, and the track has a lot of bite. I was a little worried about. I ran at Fulton some years back, and the bite there was just terrible. So I put on some fresh rubber to go up with, and the bite was insane. I mean, the car was literally pushing. It was hard to get it to spin around because it was just steering the car, just drive right through it.
Well, that Fulton Derby that you went to a couple of years ago, if I remember right, wasn't there some pretty serious rains, and you were running half on the front stretch and part down in the infield, and it was pretty slick down in the infield? It was
a little muddy down there, but I think because it was after the boat race and then some other events that were going on there, so the track was run in pretty good, and the expectation of the racetrack is that it develops bite as the night goes on, and that was exactly the case here. They got a nice clay surface there, and when you take off, it's like a shot. When you nail that thing, it would really go.
Yeah, no doubt.
You don't as much leave the line as you
launch.
Yeah,
launch. Absolutely, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yes, the modifieds were on the program, and
there was actually a dirt series race there that night.
Cool.
I can't remember who. Because dirt modifieds run there regularly. There's something else.
Sportsman. There's a bunch that run there on Friday nights. Because they'd run everything. They'd run everything off, and we'd start the Derby at about midnight. They have a long card up. Well, they used to have them.
It was late. I mean, we don't think we got started till like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Which is a little abnormal for me. I'm usually I like to start by 6, 7 o'clock or something like that. But it gave us some time to get up there. I love to run a Friday night show, but for us it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and that's trucking. So, after work and getting things loaded and getting up there, it worked out pretty good.
Everything go pretty smooth getting through the gate up there?
Yeah, no problems. The racetrack people were real good, very organized. No problem getting in, getting a spot to park and set up and getting through inspection. It was a breeze. It really was.
Awesome. So let's get in the Wayback Machine and go back to Mini Meltdown, where outstanding weekend on all fronts. You can go catch that live on demand. That is available on Track Shot. So it would be live tape on. Go watch it on Track Shot.
Alex Velasco also taped it as well.
So how was that weekend? I mean, it sounded like everything went fairly smooth. Everything left there twisted in half like it was supposed to, because it's Morris and fans are back in the stands.
Well, as far as the smooth tech, I think, there was no real arguments, but there was a steady line of traffic heading back to the pits to cut. So, people are pushing the limits as always. And, Jeremy was right on the inspection line the entire time from what I've seen. So he really was creating a level playing field. Which I'm all about. I've kind of stepped into doing some inspecting now. I'm inspecting for Midsummer Mayhem and for Delaware County Fair. So getting an inner look at the way things really operate. I think he's doing everything he can to create that level playing field, and I think that's great. I think that's where we need to be.
Definitely.
How did your run go?
I actually didn't run this year.
I had a wedding to make on Saturday, a close family member, so I didn't get there Saturday, but I was sneaking a peek on the live feed on my cell phone from time to time.
I thought all this.
I didn't want to be that guy at the wedding that's watching the Derby, in the middle of the reception, but, I just couldn't help myself.
Right.
You're sitting in the church and one of your buddy makes a big hit and you're like, yeah! They're like, everybody turns and looks. Wasn't me. I don't know what's going on. Is there
I think overall, they put on a great show. They had some nasty V8s over there. They always have nasty compacts. I don't know how many states showed up this year. But the Mad Dog money, I think, keeps the pace down there,
Oh, yeah.
They're putting some good money up for Mad Dog over there now. And, we like to be a part of that, and we like to help create that atmosphere of a well-known derby for how hard everyone runs. And after Saturday, even back to the consies, there wasn't a lot coming back. People were really making junk fast.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the fact, Chad, that you've become a pretty big supporter of spinning wheels. I know your name is on most of the billboards down there for sponsoring different things. And how are you like seeing? We've kind of known who each other were for a long time. How do you like seeing how the Derby world is developing in New York? It's kind of nice to see. How do you enjoy being a part of it? Kind of being one of Jeremy's big sponsors.
Well, I like to try to involve myself as much as I can in a sponsorship. I own a couple of businesses with my wife, and for us, the sponsorship is it's a write-off. Quite honestly, but we like to give back to the community in one way, shape, or another. And these days, that's what I'm doing. I'm giving it back to the Derby community, and with these higher purses, the way I feel about it is the higher feature, win purses. You tend to develop a slower pace because of the money.
Yep.
And so Jeremy and I were talking when he first came up with the Meltdown idea, and we're talking what would be the way to keep the pace up, and money. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If you pay the Mad Dog, he will show up.
Oh yeah.
And it's been a great sponsorship for us, and I think it's been a great on the backside for Jeremy with the way that these guys run. It's just out of control.
Yeah, definitely.
I ran there last year. I took over a pre-ran for the Meltdown. It was COVID year, so things were a little funky there. A bunch of guys couldn't come in from out of state, so spots opened up, and we had an opportunity to run, and it was a great. The hardest seat of the weekend as far as I'm concerned. But I got to tell you, those little cars you take straight up pounding.
Oh, yeah.
The car don't take so much. You're taking the beating, so I'm getting too old for that kind of behavior.
Yeah, and Chad's not a small guy. He's pretty big, broad-shouldered dude, and to get shoehorned in one of them and get pounded around, that just can't be fun. It's
rough. It's rough.
Corey Relly is in the live chat here, and he also pointed out that sponsoring all of these events down there is a good way for Chad to market the Winnie bits, which is the only drill bit hard enough to drill a Chad Winne frame.
Well, you got to drill through multi-layers. You got to get through the fix-it plate. You got to get through the frame. There might be a pin in there you're drilling through. You never know.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific.
The great part about this is, I get these guys come through the inspection line now, and they're like, oh, great. We had a group message thing going on last year for Midsummer Mayhem, and there was a little confusion on the cross member rule, and I kind of set guys straight before the Derby, and I don't think everyone was happy, but I kind of model my inspection process after guys like Mark Benjamin and Ben Hoss, because they've been doing it so long. They've created a technique where I think they maintain a friendly interaction with everybody, right? Because we've all been to that Derby where a guy in the inspection line, he's yelling at you because you did something he doesn't like, and you don't want to cut it. And it's caused hard feelings over the years. I've seen it happen, So I think those guys specifically have created a way for everybody to just kind of make fun and have a good day and enjoy yourselves. And I love that. I love where it's going. And I hope it keeps headed that direction. Cars are getting harder to find, but the money's going up.
Yeah.
Locally we've got three fairs this year that'll pay well over $5,000 to win.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
impressive.
You bring Mark up. Corey Relly and I were just talking last week, and go ahead, Mark, Chris.
So he takes a page out of Mark's book. Mark's inspection process is, well, if I built this car, I would cheat it here.
Well, if you're inspecting Mark's car, it's a different story altogether, you know. But I will say he's probably one of the fairest inspectors I've ever come across.
Because he's cheated all the cars.
Yeah.
Well, he knows where they are. He knows where the cheats are. No doubt.
But to be fair, to be a good inspector, you had to be a good cheater.
Chad Winne, what?
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Let's be honest. I mean, the best cops were the biggest outlaws. I mean, that's how this works.
I agree.
So, but no, I was talking with Corey last week, and we were, because we got on the topic of the big paying shows in the area this year, and obviously we talked about spinning wheels, and Coos is putting on the big show at Cobleskill, and they're having the standalone show again down in
Hemlock.
Hemlock, and Corey was asking me this and that, and I said, when Mark first started running with his parents, they'd run 30 shows a year. That's at least 60 cars, or at least 90 cars. If they did, if they built, they'd build a lot of cars. So did they maybe play in some gray areas? Yes, but it still wasn't to where the level is today, obviously. So I mean, when Brett, and decided that they were going to do this, the Coos, and sat down and had Mark become the head inspector. Mark went to school and did a lot of research. He did a lot of reading. He did talking to a lot of guys. And Mark is definitely right there at the top. He can inspect anywhere. And like Chad said, he's very fair. The first Coos show we went to, I'd chained my trunk lid shut, but I'd also welded it at the top, just like 2 small welds. And Mark said, "Brian, you got to cut these." I said, "All right, no problem." So I go over, and we had to do a couple other things, and you're ready to go back. And Mark comes riding over from me. He goes, "Hey," "you don't have to cut your trunk." And I said, "What?" He goes, "I thought it said that you had to have either or in my rules, but it doesn't. You can." I said, "I'll don't worry about it." But I said, "I already cut it." He goes, "Well, if you want, you can weld it up again." He goes, "My mistake. I apologize." And I'm like, not that big of a deal. But I mean, not a lot of inspectors would come over and do something like that. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty classy, and it wasn't just me. I mean, if Mark makes a mistake, he's going to admit to it. And I think that's what's really helping, and we've touched on it. That's what's helping to grow stuff in New York is, there's a pretty good set of inspectors, for the 2 big promoters that are kind of doing the most right now. So, and it's great to see. I wish either more fairs would, hire, some guys like Spinning Wheels or Coos, and of course I don't know how many shows each of those guys really wants to put on or has the ability to, because of it's not their full-time business, but it's good to see that the good things are getting even better.
You want to know how thorough things were at the first Kings Vault School?
How thorough?
They were so thorough that Corey Rellier had to cut for an hour.
Well, Corey's a cheater. We know that.
That was a great show, though. That was, back then, that was the only one of its kind in the area.
Yeah.
And it turned out spectacular.
Did you ever get the chance to run at Metal Destruction over in Cuba?
No, I did not. No. Some great drivers come out of that area and run that show, though.
Yeah. Chris and I were talking about, I think it was you and I. You and I, or maybe it was Corey and I, but we were talking about the quality of show. I mean, that was the first quote-unquote big show in New there I knew of. And there was the first one. I mean, there was
the first standalone that wasn't tied to something.
Yeah,
it was always the big fairs.
Yeah,
it was the state fair.
Yeah,
but there wasn't any standalone derbies that it was on the calendar. You had to be there.
Yeah,
and that was one of them.
And that first one,
was the one.
That first one, there was like 6 or 8 Chevy Roundbacks there. There was Suicides. I mean, there was heavy iron at that show. That was a damn good show.
Roundback won that show two of the first 3 years.
Pretty sure that guy that won it the first year, his last name was Rellier.
And the third year.
He does have a decent down there.
It all comes down to the management every time, though. At these bigger events, and they had a guy by the name of Wayne. I think he was the fire chief over there, and he was really big into it. He was very proactive. I think that was a benefit, and how small town fire department politics is. He's probably not the chief anymore, and consequently the show kind of fell apart, and that's happened with other shows also. So Spinning Wheels, Road Rage, these guys are, and they all work together. Coos, everybody's working together. Everybody supports everyone. I mean, you got Brett going to Jeremy shows and running cars, and Jake running at Brett's shows, and vice versa. And it's just, that's what it takes, you know. And you know, getting back to the inspection thing, you know, how many years did you run county fairs where you knew the guy inspecting cars had 3 or 4 buddies coming through the lineup, and they were getting a free pass on stuff? You know, those days are gone, you know, or they're disappearing, which I think, you know, rising seas raises all ships, and it's just uplifting the whole Derby movement. When things are fair and equal, I mean, it's good stuff.
For sure.
Well, that strikes me as a good place to stop, because it's very poignant and reflective. And the mouse has melted to the table.
Yeah, it is roughly 106 degrees in here. Holy goodness.
Chad, I'm thrilled for your success over there. It was good to see you back in a big car. I'm glad that you're able to run that Imperial and get some mileage out of that one more time. I trust that that'll be uncovered one more time here before the end of the season and get one more run out of it. I think there's some more Speedway-type shows that are coming up. Is there anybody that you want to make mention of? I know winning plumbing has a lot to do with you getting to the track every time you go out.
Yeah, just a shout out to my wife. She lets me do this crazy stuff. I chase it all over. We've been to Florida, you know. We've ran in PA. We've been all over the place, you know. So it's an opportunity, you know, and we hope we can continue to do it.
Absolutely. Well,
and thanks for doing what you guys do. I mean, you get it out there. We wouldn't be able to see it if it wasn't for you guys.
Appreciate that. Try to. We appreciate it, man. Wish you the best of luck. Next time, don't wait so long before we talk.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
See you later,
Everyone, Chad.
Chad Winne. About 30 cars right now from New York scheduled to make the trip down to Iron City Nationals, which is coming up not too long ago. So that's a big number. We missed last week because I took a fall at work. I'm still not feeling 100%. I was diagnosed with another concussion, and this has been one of the more challenging concussions I've had to rebound from. It reminded me of the one that I had when I fell in my backyard at home. I was going back up to the house to get some tools because part of the carport that I had my 65 Imperial under was beginning to collapse. I was trying to get up to the house, and a piece of the frame that had already fallen off was in the yard, and I tripped over it, and I landed on my forehead and broke 3 ribs. And that was several years ago. This was similar, but I never made it down to the concrete. I ended up catching a light pole with my forehead and almost immediately threw up. It was pretty rough. Finished out delivering all the kids to their school, and I was on legs that were really sea leggy. Went to the nurse, and the nurse said, "Boy, you know, if I didn't know better, I'd say you should probably put some ice on that. And maybe if you still feel that way, go to the emergency room." And I did, and went through all the protocols and stuff. So things are improving, but I'm still getting some brain fog, which was really a challenge to keep all the plates on sticks for this. I just came off of a 45-minute job interview a little while ago, so it's been an intense day.
For the record, I texted Chris and said, "Hey, what do you think about tonight?" And he's like, "Well, I think we ought to go for it." And and that's, in all seriousness, we make light, but I mean, that's one of the things the last few years with coaching that we've really did a lot of training on and stuff. And I know that all the stuff Chris is doing right now with a severe concussion isn't helping his concussion any. He's probably going to go home and have regressed some. So, for me, thank you for coming out and doing the stuff you shouldn't have, and so we can get on here and talk to our amazing supporters out there. Like Chris said, though, next Monday is the 4th of July, so for no other reason, we probably won't be here because of that, and Chris is going to need time to rest. So we will probably see you guys again the 11th, God willing.
So, well, we'll find a way to shoehorn something in that week, I think.
We're getting into a busy time for
6,
me.
6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere's in there.
I got a bunch of graduation parties coming up, so we'll figure something out.
We will make the best of it. But on that note, we're done. It's 12,000 degrees in here, and I'm all done sitting in the heat. Guys, thanks so much for all the supporters, everybody who won it. Crash Course Nationals, we'll try and get that result for everybody as well. The live stream is available on the Crash Course Nationals Facebook page. Appreciate it again. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandoned Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLace1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.